still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love.
Dan and Amy, and in these dour times with impeachment consuming so much of the public's attention span, it's nice to have a little levity, including from those at the center of the impeachment proceeding, meaning President Trump. Mm-hmm. He had a little small business roundtable talking about what the administration has done for small businesses during his 3 years, and he seized on light bulbs in particular, offered this riff.
And we're doing other things. The light bulb, they got rid of the light bulb that people got used to. The new bulb is many times more expensive. And I hate to say it, it doesn't make you look as good. Of course, being a vain person, that's very important to me. It gives you an orange look. I don't want an orange look. Has anyone noticed that? So we'll have to change those bulbs at least a couple of rooms where I am in the White House. But we're going back to the double standard.
Yeah, and he talked about
going back to the way it was.
Well, you're right. The LEDs and the CFLs, and you need a hazmat crew anytime or on standby anytime you break one or try to dispose of one, and so on and so forth. It was a nice. It's actually a legitimate point, but also a nice moment of levity.
Yeah, it's funny.
We've also got some reports out of late here. Yeah. Art Laffer and Steve Moore's Rich States, Poor States report is out. The rich states, the states that have the rosiest economic outlook.
Oh, Illinois.
No. Illinois is on the list, but not in that category. No. Utah, Idaho, North Dakota, and Nevada, top 4. Bottom 4, that's where you'll find Illinois. New York, Vermont, Illinois, and California.
Oh, Vermont's on that list? Wow.
Oh, they did elect a socialist to the United States Senate.
Yes, they did.
So that probably should tell you something. Additionally, as noted by Mark Perry over at Carpe Diem blog, something interesting about those two groups of 4 states. One group is all right-to-work states. Another group, the other group, all non-right-to-work states. That is interesting. We also have more data out. Illinois' credit rating, since we're on the topic of Illinois, is the lowest in the nation. It's one notch from speculative grade junk. Some of the states with the highest credit rating, which means things like borrowing at lower interest rates, so less taxpayer dollars to finance, say, big infrastructure projects, which we like to talk about here, and then pay Sopranos rates to do so. Highest credit rating, states like Indiana and Iowa and Missouri and Tennessee and Texas, Midwestern states, not necessarily low-tax states either, but lower tax states than Illinois. And then the last report I wanted to get to is the Smart States, Dumb States report.
Yeah.
This is sort of very interesting. This is a compilation of the it's not so much smart or dumb, but academic achievement of states. So it's a basket of things like percentage with BAs, percentage with masters, median SAT scores, those sorts of things. And I know we here in Chicago consider ourselves, and particularly in some certain suburban communities, consider ourselves highly, highly educated. Yes. Oh, so many. And we have so many great colleges and universities. Every school district is an absolute treasure that is beyond reproach, doing a wonderful job of educating young people, setting them on the course to success in life, right? Well, according to this report, Illinois finds itself 34th when it comes to aggregate intelligence quotient based on this report. 34th. Yeah. This is from safehome.org if you want to look it up and make your own assessments about the methodology. And it's not necessarily low-tax states. New Jersey is number 1. Massachusetts is number 3. Illinois, bottom 3rd. Is there anything this state's doing right? But I know. Don't you go changing, Illinois families. Don't you go leaving. That's stay the course, 1,000 points of light, and so on and so forth. For more on all of this economic data, we're pleased to be joined again by our friend Scott the Cow Guy Shellady. Scott Shellady, Fox Business regular. And we have a bit of controversy we have to dispatch with first. Shellady is the proper pronunciation? I can't call you Shellady anymore?
You could call me whatever you want. Everybody else does.
Yeah, exactly.
Shellady is the correct pronunciation. Rhymes with melody.
So
All right.
when you were growing up, that's what you were, Scott Shellady.
Yes.
And
Well,
when
now
when did you
forever.
become Shellady? When you started coming on this show?
When I gave up correcting everybody. And when I got lazy, which was probably about 25 years ago.
All right, Scott. So give us your take on the surprising number. At least it surprised the quote-unquote experts, 260,000 plus jobs in November.
Yeah, and you throw in the revisions, and it's almost 300, or basically is 300,000. So, usually you can kind of pick out whatever you want. If you're negative Nelly, you can find something to kind of riff on that's not good, or if you're somebody that's very positive, you can go that way as well. But this one was really hard to find something bad. This is a really good report, and juxtaposition that against what had happened on Thursday with Pelosi was a very stark contrast of where the country's at. We've got so many people that want to throw him out of office, but at the same time, he's putting up numbers that are verging on shocking. So, these are great numbers for the economy. The consumer's still healthy. I guess for all of those negative Nellies that we're trying to call for an inverted yield curve, or we can put people to sleep by talking about that. But a recession, that doesn't look like that's going to happen anytime soon. They always could, but there's always a base 10% chance that happens. But so everything is looking pretty good, and in the face of the fact that everybody else is doing pretty poorly. So with the rest of the world's economies struggling, the U.S. is kind of a white shining light.
And the unemployment rate came in at 3.5%. That's a 50-year low. I know you're not a big fan of unemployment rates, but still, that's pretty impressive for President Trump.
Well, and you really didn't hear that much about it. Where was it? Those are usually the ones that they have plastered all over the front pages of all the newspapers, and that really kind of went by the by. So the media is ignoring that, as well as our privacy. But at the same time, these numbers are very, very good. Again, a 50-year low. I was 4 years old the last time we've seen it like this. So that's a long time ago. And again, the best part about these numbers is it looks as though the U.S. economy, in the face of everybody else slowing down or not doing very well, is doing pretty well. And if we get some of these other things done, like USMCA and obviously the China tariffs, that problem, Brexit, and then if we do start to see Europe and Asia kind of start to get better, you could see the U.S. go from strength to strength. It's kind of hard to find something negative.
Any comment on the passing of former Federal Reserve Chairman Paul Volcker, who served under both Carter and Reagan and was credited, at least in part, with taming the inflation that punctuated the Carter presidency?
Yeah, he's a giant of a man in the industry and in real life. I think he was a really tall person, like something like 6'7" or 6'8", like Comey-esque. But he's got a very great name in our industry. He started again, the bond rally basically started around that time. And so it's an industry icon passing, but such is the circle of life.
You just mentioned Brexit. We've got an election in a place that you've spent 2 decades plus, I think, England, on Thursday. The importance of that essentially referendum again on Brexit and trying to prevent a fascist like Jeremy Corbyn from taking the helm and nationalizing industries.
There are so many parallels between our situation here and what they've got going on over there. Theirs is just a little bit smaller, and they can actually move on it a little quicker than we can. But yeah, they're faced with Bernie Sanders, kind of a candidate there that is got some sort of traction, but it looks as though the election on the 12th of December is going to be for the conservatives, for the Republicans, whatever you want to call them, Tories. And what that means is that they can get on with the leaving of that European Union, which I was never a fan of in the first place. No same culture, no same currency, no same language. And I think that it's going to be a good thing for them, and that will help make them fly. And them being an ally of ours, that's only going to be a good thing for us. So the sooner they get. But the key thing here is this: we think it's crazy here, right? They've already voted to leave the European Union in 2016, and it was an overwhelming yes. to leave. Well, they're still debating the fact, ignoring it, just like the Mueller report's being ignored here. And the left over there is wanting to have another quote-unquote referendum on it with this new candidate that the Labor Party is putting forward in Corbyn, because he's going to have another referendum if he wins. So it's going to be interesting to see how they vote over there, because believe it or not, the Trump election really mirrored a lot of how that first Brexit vote went back in 2016.
I wanted to turn locally here. This is just sort of an amazing data point, or a couple of data points about Chicago Metro, from whence you hail, even though you properly
left us for Northwest Indiana.
Yeah, you smartly escaped. But this story in the Journal last week that described a study that was done of commercial real estate properties. According to this study, the dollar value of commercial real estate sales in Cook County fell 42% this year. In point of fact, Chicago, office buildings, apartment properties, retail centers, industrial real estate fell by 4% last year. This is the worst performance among major metropolitan areas analyzed by Real Capital Analytics in the world, behind even Hong Kong, which is beset by crisis, obviously, at present. The idea that in Chicago and Illinois, it's not just that equity has no home with respect to residential properties, but it's property across the board.
That's the last bastion of wealth that the city and the state are going to go after, and everybody knows that's the case. And like you said on the opening to the show, I mean, basically, I believe that the whole state of Illinois and the whole city of Chicago, they're suffering from that disease where Stockholm syndrome, where you start to actually become friends with your captors, right? I mean, they're going to continue to vote the same people in. They're going to continue to be friends with the people that are hurting them the most, and they won't do anything about it until it's too late. And it already is too late, if you ask me. I mean, if you're an actuarial guy and you kind of look at the numbers in black and white, I don't know how they're going to get out of the problem, and the smart people that I know don't have an answer to that either. So you can keep having these numbers come across your desk, and you keep shaking your head, and you think in disbelief, how are the leaders of the city and state ignoring these bad things? Because those commercial real estate numbers are shocking, because they want you to believe that everybody's moving here to do business, right? There's great businesses that are parking here. I mean, you don't hear the real facts behind the numbers, and that's the shocking part. So again, until people wake up, until they get out of this Stockholm syndrome, this is going to be more of the same.
He is Scott the Cow Guy Shellady, or Shellady, depending on your preference. Fox Business regular. Scott, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. Have a good day. See you.
Thanks. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.